Hello and welcome along to the Panto podcast. This week I have clowning royalty for you, Charlie Cairoli Jr. In this episode he tells me what life was like growing up with a dad who was a practical joker, what he thinks makes a good clown, and his meeting with Princess Diana when he had a custard pie in his hand. So please, sit back and enjoy the latest Panto podcast. My guest for today's Panto podcast is circus legend. Is that okay? Do you like that introduction? Or?
It sounds very good. I wish it was, though.
Charlie Cairoli Jr., how are you, sir?
Very well indeed, Squire. Very well indeed.
Well, I'm here in your lovely home in Blackpool, and thank you for agreeing to be part of the podcast.
Oh, it's great. It's a great experience.
So, circuses and theatre and pantomime, there's such history around the whole variety theme, isn't there?
Yeah. It's all, the whole business of the show business is magical. Circusing sounds awful. It sounds really bitter what I'm saying. In the old days, when I was in the 70s, when I first started in the circus with my dad, the acts were fantastic. Everything, the lighting. There's this excitement of going to a circus. I don't know if it's because they got rid of the animals or what, but circus isn't the excitement it used to be. I know it's a business. It seems more like a business than an experience now of going to the circus and seeing a show. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And I did 9 years at the Blackpool Tower with my father. And it was 9 years I laughed my socks off. I didn't think I learned anything, but I learnt just by watching with people, working with people. And I learnt so much that way. So it was the best 9 years of my life, really, until I got married.
I won't tell her.
Just in case she listens to this. But I worked with such great acts and such personalities and things like that. When you went to see the show, it was an excitement. You could see circus, These days, kids go, oh, circus, And clowns, we had some great clowns in England. Jack Fawcett and Little Billy. I think they were great clowns. And you don't get it anymore. You get single clowns, which sometimes can be very good, but the old continental clowns, and like the best ones I've seen in this country is Mookie and Mr. Moo at the Blackpool Tower, because they sort of do different things and they're very, I can say, inventive, which is nice to see, because my father used to do 2 new acts every year at the Tower, which was a nightmare for him. He used to go in the middle of the night and say, son, what do you think of this act? I think, it's all right, I'll tell you in the morning when I've slept on it. I'm too bloody tired. So I just found the circus was very exciting those days, and I don't think it's as exciting as it should be.
How can that change, do you think?
It's getting slowly better now because they're getting more light, they get better lighting in it, better sound systems. Because at one time you had bands, even if it was organ and drummer, sort of somebody could play da-da and da-dum. Now you're relying on the guy with the machine that's doing it, which is never the same, and you don't know if you want to do something different. And the guy on the stage end of the television who's working the lights, and it's never going to be the same. I think you can't. It's live. I think it's got to be live. Everything's got to be live, and people are going to be. Instead of sort of saying, like at one time you can do that act great. Now it's you want to join a circus, right? Okay, can you build up? Can you build up? Can you drive a load through? Or can you help with hot dogs? Oh, you want to do an act as well? You do an act. So the act gets pushed. You don't get booked on your act. It's what your whole family can do. Whereas at the Tower, it was like, and that came in, they didn't sell, they just did their act. I mean, they used to get acts from Vegas and things like that, which were fantastic acts. I mean, it was like a lady called Regana, absolutely stunning lady, stunning, tall, dark, she used to go and dress as an Indian, absolutely stunning. But you wouldn't get, her and her husband, they were just booked for the act, not to sell and make up your wages by selling and things like that. I know I shouldn't say these things, but
It's true though, isn't it?
it's true. If you book for something, just do that.
Hmm.
Don't just, so you can do this one, turn a bit more money. You can do, just pay them the wages, let them do that. Get the other people in to do the other bits. And I think, and then you get the lighting and the band. I mean, the band at the tower used to be, da-da, when it started up, there was all that. Well, it's like a theatre now. For pantomime, when you always get the overture playing, everybody goes, oh, there's that buzz. Oh, it's going to start now. Oh, yeah!
And what about yourself then? Your very first kind of memory of working with Dad?
This Is Your Life. 1969. Well, not working, it wasn't really working. They got me father on This Is Your Life, and he said, we want your dad to do something. So I said, I keep asking him, I want to join him. But he keeps saying, learn a trade first, because he had to start the business when he was 5. He had no choice, and he didn't want me, so he said, I'll learn a trade first. So I was thinking I was 22, 23, I think it was. And I asked him, This Is Your Life? He said, yeah. And then he squirted a matchbox off my head with his, he could spit water really accurately. And that was my first actually experience. And then after that, it was the Blackpool Tower, 1970. I had to come on as an guardian angel, playing the clarinet for my father. Because the gag was, he couldn't play it. I said, I'm your guardian angel, I'll play it for you. Well, if you heard me play, I would even wish you. I was so nervous every time I went out there. I think it was just working with Dad. I used to get so nervous. I played straight on the shore, and people said you should go on the shore a bit more often and play. It was terrible. But I got the hang of it. But that was the first year we did. I mean, I used to go see me in pantomimes in other, like Plymouth and Brighton when I was a kid. And I would get dragged up on the stage with my dad. I mean, I used to do little bits with me, chasing around the stage. But I never thought that was working, you know what I mean?
Did you get paid?
No.
Then you weren't working.
Circus, you don't get paid. Family. Christ.
The circus upbringing then? Have you tried doing that with your own children?
Yes. Because in circus, there's no racism in circuses. If you do your job, you're accepted. If you muck them out, if you don't want to what colour you are, black, white, green, or whatever, if you muck them out, you're out. As long as you work and you do your job, everybody's accepted. No religion, no. It's great communities to travel around. And we tried to do that with the kids, try to get our lads to give them an open mind about things. And I think they have done,
Who were your heroes growing up?
Laurel Hardy. Laurel Hardy and Buster Keaton.
Very physical, yeah.
Because Buster Keaton more, because he never talked, he never said anything that much. But it was the physical comedy, his timing was absolutely. I mean, at first you just look at it and think, It's only as I got older that I appreciated what he did. It's like Laurel Hardy. They did some stuff and you laughed at it. I've looked at it now. Funny enough, we went to a Laurel Hardy convention a few years ago. Because my wife, her parents worked with Laurel Hardy when they came over in 53 it was. And we got invited because they wanted them to talk about the parents working with Laurel Hardy. So we went to this convention and we sat there and I watched this video. They put the old Laurel Hardy films on. And there's one at delivering a Christmas tree. And it was just so funny. It was just great to hear the whole room laughing. Just laughing hysterically. I mean, I know they're all Laurel Hardy fans, but even we ended up buying some more Laurel Hardy films because they were so funny. And you forget about it. And they're just hysterical. And I think if something's funny, I can put this, if it's funny, it never seems really racist or having a go at anything. Something's funny. Unless it's specifically having a point. Got me wrong teeth into it. Specifically having a go at this, and I think it's bad, but if it's just general fun, So I don't know if that makes sense. It might not do, but I just think people think it gets so bitter, and I don't think it should do.
Comedy's comedy. Funny's funny. Do you remember the things your dad used to do to make you laugh?
Oh yeah.
What kind of things would he have done?
Stop with pocket money.
I bet you weren't laughing.
I don't know. No, he was a great practical joker, my dad. He loved. I mean, he had his serious sides when he was doing his income tax and things like that, but he loved doing gags. He did it to me a few times. When I first started working with him, after a while, when I got working as a proper partner, because we worked in the circus, you get a lot of flies in the summer. You used to get a dead fly, and it's just, and his noses were always made out of theatrical putty. He made a fresh one every show, and he used to stick a fly to the nose, varnish it and stick it on. And he'd come in the ring, and nobody else could see it. But when you're working with one microphone, you go. You just wanted to get the bloody fly and rip it off. Or he come and put pinpricks all over it. Pinpricks all over his nose, so it looked horrendous. But you see, he was one of these. He hated routine. He didn't want, you didn't want to go, hello Charlie, and you put your hand out to shake it, or he'd do that a couple of days, and all of a sudden he put his hand on his shoulder, so you put your hand out to shake his hand, and you put your hand on his. So everything you had to do was the first time. And it was great, it's like if you get slapped across the face, if you winced, I said, what are you wincing for? Nothing. So if you got a slap or a bucket of water, you have to look as though the bucket of water came on because the pie came from nowhere. Or it's the first time you ever had the custard pie. Because if you could do that, you did that, make it believe that the audience will believe it. There's nothing worse than people doing that for years after year after year, and they wince at it, or they sort of do a half fall, or if you don't do it properly, how can you make the audience believe it? It's like pantomime. If you don't do it properly and don't believe it, you're going to get the audience to believe it. So he loved practical jokes. He used to wet my mother on Sundays. You go fishing and come back and we water the garden on a nice sunny day and wet my mother, or wet us all with hosepipe, or he used to do things like one year he used to get he did a thing with marshmallows. Give marshmallows out to the audience and whatever. And he'd always get a bag of marshmallows and he'd cut them up in half and put Tabasco sauce and stuff.
Oh, that's evil.
But you used to get the ring boys. Used to get some of the ring boys. Hey, have it. What's going on? Oh, Jack. Oh, you. He just. He used to put. When I played the clarinet that first year, he used to put bitter aloes on it on the reed, which is sort of the substance that you bite in your nails.
Oh.
I used to have to play straight on the show, which I couldn't play. I played badly in the first place, but I played it even worse. But yeah, he was. He hated routine. He had to look as though it was the first time he did anything, and it's very good unless you're working with somebody who. Stu Francis was good for that. When we did Pantomime with Stu Francis, he was very good for ad-libbing, and if you did something wrong or whatever, she would say, I could tell by he's forgotten his lines. He's forgotten his lines. He said, he's forgotten his lines, haven't you? Aye. The lights are on, but nobody's in. And it was a nice way to work, because every night it seemed like a new night. It seemed fresh. It wasn't, here we go.
And if it's fresh for you, it's going to be even fresher for the audience.
Oh yeah, and if they saw us laughing, they knew we'd cocked up, so they could see what was going on, and they were in on the gag, which makes it very comfortable to be with,
Well, the connection with your family and Grimaldi. You took part in the film. The funniest man in the world.
Yeah.
And would you care to share the family's connection with Grimaldi?
Well, I don't think there's any connection really. It's just that how can I put this? Grimaldi was a clown. He was one of the great clowns of the time. At the time, he did pantomime things. Probably did more for clowning than any other clown has done.
Mm.
But it made it very difficult because a lot of clowns, people expected that's how clowns had to be. And even today, people say, they go to clowns, Grimaldi, got to put the heavy makeup on, things like that. But there was a lot of tragedy there with his life because he used to get beaten by his father and things like that. And a lot of people, it's like my father. He came from his father was discipline. I mean, I worked with my father. I went to do a show in Paris, a Gala de la Piste, it's called. Big, like a royal variety for circus artists. And we went there, we walked in the theatre circus, and we just met this guy, quite a big guy, big broad shoulders, and they both ugly, so they all started crying. And we just said afterwards, he says, this guy used to do somersaults, and if he got them wrong, his father used to roll chairs back to, like a long line of chairs, and he used to do somersaults, and if he went slightly off the chairs, he got good hiding and had to go and do it again. And my father was the same. If he played an instrument wrong in the act, he knew he had a good hiding, so they both used to run away together and hide in the circus. So the parents would calm down, because they knew when they calmed down they weren't going to get such a hiding.
Oh, that's sad.
And you think, and that's... And my dad says to me, he says, I never want my kids to think of me the way I thought about my father.
Mm.
I mean, he had my dad as a brother, and I don't know what went wrong, but the brother at the start of the Second World War, his brother went off to Colombia, and we never heard of him again. We've met some of the family, they've come over to find the roots and things like that. We don't know what happened. And I said, what happened with the family? We said, we don't know. I mean, my dad had a brother and a sister. And there was like this, I don't know if it was jealousy between them or whatever, or petty, but it just killed them, killed the relationship. And my dad used to say, I never want my kids to think of me the way I thought about my dad. And I never did do it really, but it's quite strange. When I said, my dad never talked about it. Never talked about it. All he used to say, it was quite strange. And Grimaldi, people can say, oh, he's funny, but he's got a tragic life. It's a really tragic life. I feel sorry for the guy, actually. It's like when I had to write, you can write a preface with a book about your dad.
Mm.
I said, well, what do I write? He's my dad. To a lot of people, it was Uncle Charlie, but he was just my dad. He was just a natural guy. He was just a lovely guy. Yeah, there's good points and bad points, don't we all? I mean, he was never there for most of his sports days because he was working in the tower. But I never held it against him, my dad was never there. Scarred me for life. He was busy working. So just, and I think he was more, he focused more on maybe his two sisters than he did on his past life.
Mm.
He talks about people he liked in his past life, he talks about acts, and some acts used to come to the circus and he'd say, oh Christ, what an act this guy was, and his parents did a fantastic act. I mean, it's quite strange because I used to go see a show and my dad used to say, I think, what a great actor. He says, I remember somebody doing that years ago. Oh, what do I do now? Go to the show and I said, yeah, I remember that. They did it, and I think, I'm sounding like my dad now. I remember. I mean, some people said we were related to the, at one point in time, we were related to the Prime Minister of Italy. That's what you read, isn't it? Prime Minister. Jean Hubert Cairoli. He was the Prime Minister of Italy in about 18 something. But from what I gathered, it's one of these grey areas, like Cairoli in Milan. It's like Smith in England. of Jones in Wales.
I was going to ask you actually about the name, the family name. So it is quite a common name.
Apparently, I didn't think it was. It's only, Facebook. Now and again, so-and-so Cairoli wants to be friends with you. And it's spelled. There's two ways to spell it: Caroli or Cairoli. If you C-A-I, that's our way. The other way is another Cairoli. So apparently we were related to the Prime Minister of Italy in about 18. He was twice. He was in Italian Prime Minister. So you just. I mean, I know there's like. On my mother's side, there's one uncle. He ran off he had about 5 kids. He ran off with a belly dancer. Had about 5 kids with a banana money, and she kicked him out, so he went back to the wife. There's all sorts of shifty. There's all sorts of stories that link around. People say, "Oh, we did this, we did that." I think, "Oh, Christ."
That all sound very boring, doesn't it? At the moment, it's just.
Well, it's like people say, "Oh, who do you think you are?" So, "Oh, he was this." I think, well, who was perfect in those days? Who was perfect? Even the priests weren't perfect in those days. So I think you just look at it's like who's perfect in this day and age. You could say that they're really perfect. We've all done something a bit shifty. Before I was married.
Save that for the next book, eh? That's it. Just
40 Shades of Clowning.
I take it being quite funny then helped with that, with the ladies growing up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, is that it?
Yeah.
Next question.
Straight across that one. Yes, it did, because I was never a fighter. I was a lover.
Mm.
And
it's the Italian, isn't it?
What do I know? Come on.
Was pantomime fun then? Do you remember your first experience of panto?
First experience of pantomime was Wembley Ice Show. 7,000 people. We used to work on the ice with my dad. Because my dad was always booked as a non-skating act. We used to do a musical act and a slapstick act. So he used to walk out on the ice, and whatever gag you did, it took you ages to walk out there and to walk back when you did a gag, And we had to wear these golf shoes with spikes so you wouldn't slip. It was great, great, just lovely. But I got all the experiences of the first pantomime. I think it was Dick Wishington on the ice at Wembley. But I used to go see my dad. Somebody had played them twice with Cliff Richard and the Shadows and Jimmy Tarbuck. And they were magical. I used to look at everybody else. It's like when we used to go to the Circus on the opening night, the last night at the Tower, every year. And I can remember every other act except what acts my dad did. My dad was just my dad.
Mm.
It's just, fantastic. Oh, Dad's on there. I'll go to the toilet. But, I look back and people say, "Oh, what did your dad do that year?" I think, I couldn't tell you. You couldn't tell you. I tell you the acts, I can't tell you what my dad did, because it was just my dad on there. So making the props in the garage downstairs, in the workshop downstairs in the house. To make the props easy to try it out on his house. So I knew what that was and how it worked. All the gags with it. I used to like the water acts, all the slush acts, because they were really fun. Timing and things like that.
What do you prefer, by the way, water or slosh?
If it's warm, water. Because the tower was great. We used to do the water act. There used to be a draft used to come down there in the bloody winter, sort of beginning of summer and the end of October. Because the first bucket of water killed you. And we used to have a little routine with the water act. There was always one bucket was cold. And when you were throwing buckets around, nobody knew it, you just grabbed a bucket and threw it. So if you got the cold bucket, And little Jimmy, he was a great stooge. he used to suss it out. He used to put a bit of straw on the bucket so he knew which was the cold bucket, so he could grab it, And it's just that someone there who put straw in all the buckets so he didn't know which one it was.
Love that. So, can you tell our listeners a secret about slosh? How to make it. The big secret of making slosh.
Shaving sticks. Shaving sticks and a lot of elbow grease. So.
And it's as simple as that.
What was that? Shaving sticks. And the only other tip I can give you, don't use. It didn't used to be this way now. Water's you've got different areas. So if you use bottled water, pure water, it'll come up a lot easier. Sometimes you can mix it. People put glycerine in it now, it makes it stodgy. But you can't do it. People don't want you to do it anymore now because this is a health risk on stage. It's a bit, you do a bit of stage. Stuff on stage. Oh yeah. I worked with my dad. We did pantomimes, little and large, where we did water things like that. Water on stage, nobody slipped. If you tell people the wicked that's a bit of water on stage, everybody was aware of it,
Mm. Their silly fault if they fall over, isn't it?
Well, it is. People, But I do like slush, but slush is going to be. You got to know what you're doing with slush, because if you get something on your throat, people will take. Oh, I've got some soap in my throat. I'll wash it down with water. It's soap. It bubbles up. It's even.
Oh.
The only way to get rid of soap is to be sick.
Oh.
People drinking water. Slush is great fun. Everyone wants to get sloshed. We used to do a thing with Stu Francis. We did the pantomimes, all the shows. And then the shows used to say, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a custard pie left. We've got to say at Christmas time, we've got custard pie left. Now, is any woman telling a real bloody full of her husband, going on about, we'd like to get rid of this custard pie, and the hand used to shoot up. You used to get a couple up there. He's got a towel around his neck. And he's sitting with the wife used to sit with his custard pie, and then the vengeance, it nearly took his head. If you did it with me, it would take your head off.
Did anybody ever get you back?
Oh, but a lot of people just get me back. See, if you give it, you've got to be able to take it as well.
That is true. You can't just run off, can you?
Oh, no, you can't say, not me. No, if you give it, you do all the gags and all the water. But I say to people, if you do something to me, be very careful, because I'll come back and hit you with more. Oh. Oh. I thought about that. That happened with Princess Di, We did a show for Princess Di at the Blackpool Tower. In the ballroom, because she was over here for the hard of hearing. And they put on a show in the ballroom for the kids, because it was visuals for custard pies. So we did a custard pie. And at one point, she came on, when she comes in the ballroom, everything's got to stop. So we stopped there, and she came on, and I got this big custard pie. And some of the press said, if you pied her, it would be a great photograph. Charles pies Diana, because she was just going through this, but quickly said, well, you can learn fortunes from it, I thought. And she came up on stage, and I got a photograph of it, I got a pie in my hand. And she goes, it's more than your life's worth. I'm like, oh. She must have known, So she had this little girl with this little kid with the kid pieing me in the face.
Opportunity missed, eh?
I'd still be in prison now.
Do you regret not doing it?
Oh no. I'm not good looking, but I don't know if I was getting any worse looking than what I was going to be.
Have you ever had anybody famous that you've pied over the years?
No, because unless they really wanted it, but there's never been anybody I can say that's famous that wanted it, because they've all got an image to keep.
Mm.
I mean, people have always wanted to put pies. They always want to pie somebody, but they don't want to get it themselves.
Hmm.
And you got to, in this day and age, you got to respect people's opinion. That's what it is. I mean, lots of people would love to have pied.
A few politicians, I'm sure.
There's enough clowns in the politicians.
Do you not like that terminology when they refer to people as clowns in Parliament? Oh, he's acting the clown in a derogatory way.
Yeah, it annoys me that. It annoys me because I think it's lowering clowns. I mean, the best example I can give you is that when we worked in, I mean, I used to wear makeup and I stopped wearing makeup because I got kids going, yeah, look at the clown, look at the prat, what a prat. Then we went to France, we did a show over there and we had to wear the makeup on, had to wear his nose. And the kids used to go, oh, I got the clown, look at the clown. And it was, you were a magic person over there. And being clown, it was really great. And you go on a continent, like go to Russia, or for what was bad, clowns as an art form. Here it's like, oh, look at the prat. And it's a shame, really, because clowns are used as a derogatory thing now.
Well, they've been kind of demonised as well, haven't they, with the films and everything?
That's the American tree. That really bugs me. Really bugs me. Because they've actually killed the whole image of clowns.
Everything's cyclical, though. It will come back. Look at what some of the people are doing now. You mentioned Mookie earlier on. Any other clowns that you see a bright future ahead for?
Not really, because there's no clowns about. What annoys me about a lot of people is they'll see a routine and say, oh, I'll do that routine, and they do it. I mean, my dad had this a few times. He'd say, oh, Charlie, can I do it? I said, you can do it. But it was designed for my dad with Jimmy and Desmond and Mark. It was designed around about 4 or 5 people. And then we did it with the Harlan brothers, singing in the rain routine, Paul and Barry. Great routine. But if you take it out and don't get the same characters in, unless you change it to suit the characters you've got. But people don't just say, I'll sing that, I'll do that, exactly the same. And it's funny for that other guy, but it's not funny for you. Or it's amusing for you. And I think that's what's wrong. Instead of using your break to say, I'll get the routine. I mean, Charles Chaplin was a great one for that. I mean, the circus clowns in France used to hate him. Because he'd go and see routine. Well, like that. Take it, rejig it, and make it really good. And then people would say, look, he's doing Charles Chaplin routine. And they originated it. But he was clever enough to change it and make it better. But you get the people to say, oh, I've seen that routine, I'll sort of take the whole thing. Boom. No, that's just pinching. It's not, no thought to it.
Has gag theft bothered you then over the years?
I can say it does, but again, if you see, it doesn't bother me if somebody's done it, taken the gag and made it better. It's when somebody's done the gag exactly as I've done it. I think, well, that was it. Like when I went with the wife, it was made for me and the wife. Now, if you do the same gags with the lady with the fella, it's not going to work. I mean, if I did the same gags with the fella, when I tried to do it with Claudia, it wouldn't work. There's certain things you can do with the fella that you can't do with a woman. And when they've done taking the same routine, you think, oh. Yeah, you can see it. People say, oh, he's done that gag. Oh. But don't get me wrong, nothing's new. It's just how you use it.
Who did you get your influences from?
My dad, Laurel Hardy. I love Laurel Hardy. I love the looks, the timing. His timing was perfection. Laurel Hardy. some good comedy magicians. We go to the magicians conference every year. Some great magicians come over from America. I can't tell you the names, but they do some great stuff. It's just silly little gags they do. Oh yeah, I like that. But I used to like Jerry Lewis. I liked him more when he went with Dean Martin and when he, Mr. Bean. I think it's a great character, Mr. Bean. He's done more for clowning than it's like you get clowns today. They'll do balloon modelling. What's that all about? It's not really funny, balloon modelling. It really, it's just. I don't, it's just in there.
They're there to make you smile, aren't they? That's their only purpose.
Then there goes a clown, and that's that can be quite scary. And I think using the clown, they're hiding behind the mask of the clown. And instead of sort of being themselves, which is a lot of these people, I know some great clowns, don't need all that crap on the face. They're funny. Don't need that. They can be funny. But no, they got to wear this, and they go, I think. And you say to them, what are you wearing that for? Because I've got to be a clown. Why? Just be funny. You're funny. And it's, you can circus say, oh, well, it's like, you get some aerial acts or something like that. They've got a bit old and start doing the funny stuff. They're funny. They don't, because they've had the experience in the business and they've seen funny things. They can do the funny things without having to wear the makeup. They might wear silly clothes with the trousers fly off or something like that. But they're not heavily made up. And that's what you get in these days, But you get the people just put heavy stuff on and I think, oh no.
So for your perfect clown, what should that be?
Somebody, I think it's going back to Laurel and Hardy again, because they didn't wear heavy makeup, They just weren't heavy makeup. They were just funny. I mean, Cannonball Ball. I find when Bobby Ball first started, he was a great little clown. Because he Tommy Cannon's looked immaculate. Bobby Ball didn't. In Ken Dodd, we went to a meal with Ken Dodd a good few years ago. When I got first married to the wife, Ken Dodd said to me, there's little tips on it. The bigger the gap between the characters, the funnier you're going to be. Because people like to know, it's like the white face, always use the boss, the little comic clown which come in. It wasn't the clown, it was the August. The August was the funny one. And people could see whose role was whose. And Cannonball was the same for when they first started off. Little Bobby Ball just got on his trousers, braces, he never, suede shoes on, the black suit, never looked not quite fitting there. And that to me worked. And I think it's kind of, it was the same with Laurel and Hardy. You had the fat guy and the slim thin guy. As long as people can tell the difference.
And it needs to be obvious for them, would you say?
I think so. But you get people to take on it. Unless you got the name. Once you got the name, you can do what you want then. It's like groups, you have to play what people really want. As soon as you made your name, you can play the music you want. Because people, that's great, I don't like that. It's like Morecambe and Wise started in the circus. But they knew the positions, and but when they got big enough, they could change the roles, or they came on in two suits, and it worked for them.
But there was always that height difference, the look, that instant perception that you knew that.
Yeah, and Ernie Wise also was making it. Eric Morecambe, who was doing a sketch trousers were a bit baggy and the hat and scarf and whatever, and did the silly thing. So it was easy. People relaxed. There was no pressure on them to sort out who was doing what.
They really were something else. Did you ever work with them?
No, my dad did quite a few times apparently. But I love the. It's quite simple comedy. It's not simple. It is simple in a way, because it was never difficult, but it was always well done. It was always made to look simple. It was made to look simple, so it was easy. It was. You could sit back and relax, and you're never going to be offended by it. I mean, I suppose in this day, because we're going back to it, you can always find something to be offended with. But you can also sit back, but you just relax, and I think this is what I miss about a lot of the business. You sit back and relax. You're never going to get picked on. People you can sit back and watch a show and think, oh yes. I mean, how many people don't like to sit in the front row because you get picked on?
It's always nice when they don't pick on the front row, because those people are keen as mustard. You know that. It's you know that if you're going to sit in the front row, you're keen as mustard to get a custard pie or anything like that.
Are you sure about that?
Aren't they?
Well, sometimes they are, yes. Sometimes they are.
Well, then they're fools. Would you sit in the front row?
No.
For that reason?
But you see, it's like we did a pantomime with Wolverhampton with Frank Bruno. Lovely guy. But we have to do the slosh act. And the slosh act always has to have I always think it has to have a little story. You can't just go out and go custard pies. Not Frank. He's got handfuls. Go, hi Charlie, come. So when we got out of our system, the company manager said, Frank, if you don't stick to the act, we're taking the whole bit out. Oh no, I like the custard pie. No, Frank will take it out. Oh, okay. So we used to run in the audience. Frank used to chase us in the audience. We used three of us. It was me, Sooty, I think it was, and Frank Bruno. We used to run in the audience. So when we were running in the audience, because the diversion was directed away from stage, they used to clear the stage for the curtains and take it for the next scene. Well, Frank used to go down. He's got hands like bananas, Frank, you know. Because he used to go, and these people rub it on their hairs and all that. Frank, they can't do that. So they're going out for me. Oh, suddenly they go out for me and they go all get changed. we only got one letter complaint.
That's not bad, is it? How many performances?
He was a lovely man, Frank. And the clue what he was doing.
Has it been hard trying to train up people to take part in the silliness?
It is actually, because when they wanted me to work with Frank, and they said, Frank can't do much, you see. So I said, I'm sure he should. Anyway, I could get him to do bits. The trouble is, it was never repetitive. He would never say the same thing twice. I would never give me the tag, you know what I mean? But it's not been, it's been hard in some respects, because you're trying to get, you say to them, do that, and when they see they're getting the laughs, they go, oh yeah, I say, I'll do this, and you say, no, don't do that. You might, no, don't just do it the way it's going to be done. You might make it funny. No, it won't make it funny. And they get carried away with the laughter. And then, and it's a discipline thing you're going to be.
To try and pull them back.
Yeah.
Just get the laugh, but don't go overboard.
Yeah, I'll just do that. Oh, no. I mean, he was very good. I worked with him a few years ago, Phil Walker. And he was excellent in pantomime. I mean, Again, when you wanted to do a slosh, so we did a bit of a slosh. It wasn't a big one. We did a bit, but I was a bit worried how I was going to take it, but you took it well. You know, it's all easy. He had to have his radio mic on, so I couldn't put tons on him like I would like to do. So I did it a lot on his body. I got most of it, but he was excellent. But it's, you know, Bobby Davo, I've done slosh with him, he was excellent. Funny enough, we did a show at the Palladium for the, I think it was the 90th birthday of the Palladium. We did a live show. It was Bobby Davo, me and Jeff Capes. We did the slush routine, and it was like, oh, we've got dancers on, you can't make a mess on stage. I said, we'll put tarpaulin, oh, we can't get to tarpaulin. And then everything that we did, they filmed it was filmed so badly, it didn't work. Because they wanted, instead of doing, Bobby told them, he said, look, just do a single shot, like a Laurel Hardy. So you just single shot. No, they wanted to do close-ups. Unless you're there at the right time, they missed out the gags. So it just killed it. So it was a shame. It was good, but yeah, it was. And then we got, can you do it a bit quicker because we got to clear the stage up after you. Oh. And everything we tried to do, I mean, they just murdered us. It was just because it was just the way they filmed it. And they do, because it's, oh, we've got slush on stage, we've got this on stage, we've got that on stage. But, you know, I mean, I came from an area where I've seen bathroom sketches, I've seen waterfalls on stage. And one of the best things I ever saw, and I still sticks in my mind now, it was a Highland scene, closed the first half, and there was like, it was only a little trickle, it was more like light, and it turned into water halfway down. So it looked like a little stream going from right up the Highland, and it turned into water, and it came out to a cascading thing at the end. And there was bridges all over this, and they had little puppets as pipers, and they got bigger and bigger, and they got the Highland Girl pipers, Dagenham Girl pipers, got bigger and bigger. So you got Dagenham Girl pipers, so it looked, there's almost thousands on stage going from this bloody mountain, vast miles away, you know. And it stuck in my mind, and Kenneth McKell sang it. And it was like, wow, you know. And it's still stuck in my mind, and they used to do bathroom sketches, and there's water on the skates, you know.
What are your favourite sketches to perform then?
I like water, I like custard pies. Did a TV series with Stu Francis called Crush a Grape. We had to do 12 slush, I mean, some great slush routines there, great, really good. Because we had there was a TV and we could do what we wanted. Stu filled in vats of bloody custard pie stuff and when he'd filled in, it came up, and he'd put his hands like that. It's coming in, you know. It was great, you know. I think water or slush, if it's done nicely or done properly. That's the dog trying to get in, by the way. It's not the wife, it's the dog. If any slush routine is done properly, it's great. I think people halfway through it, they lose interest in it, or they just say, oh, you know. And that annoys me more than anything, because you're trying to make people believe what you're doing. If you muck it about, you're just taking off the magic out of the pantomime. You know, it's like they say, oh, we've got the scene, we've got this costume, we've got that costume. Costumes don't mean a thing if you ain't got the storyline, a good storyline for it.
Mm-hmm. I always wondered, I know it was because of the strike, but the episode of Sunday Night at the London Palladium with Norm Wisdom and Bruce Forsyth, where they just randomly threw in the decorating scene. Yeah. Completely out of the blue, there was no mention of it at all, why they were doing it, but it was a superb routine. Yeah, but
you look at the difficulty in doing that routine. So it looked so easy. It looked naturally stupid, you know, Norm Wisdom and things. But it was so difficult to do. That timing of it.
And walking up that ladder as well. I don't like ladders at the best of times.
But it was like when they did the pacing, and you got the boards, and you got stuck round, and then you turn around, and you got still stuck in between them. You know, the timing of that. And it's just little bits like that. You think, wow, because it goes unnoticed.
Mm.
You know, people, they laugh and they go, huh. But you actually look and think about it. If you look at these things, you think, oh dear. I mean, that's the worst thing I can do. I go and watch something. People say you're not laughing, and I think, no, I'm just looking at the whole. If they're doing it well, I think, yeah, great, that's really good. You know, I mean, well done. You know, if they're doing it badly, I think, oh dear. You know.
Do you give feedback to people?
I used to. I don't anymore. Because people say, oh, he's going to say that because, you know, if you say you should do that, well, why would you want to do that for? You know, so what if you do that? Just make it better. No, you don't. And the answer is, well, he's going to say that because he's not doing it. He's not working. You know, because, you know, if people give you feedback, all right, there could be a child scene there, but you know, it's like it's 10 people tell you something, 9 of them could be rubbish, but one person could say, yeah, that makes sense.
See, people should be receptive. I mean, look at Ken Dodd, how he used to try and help people with their act, and he even helped my son tell a joke a while ago, backstage. We met him, and he was telling him how to tell a joke for his friends and for his teachers as well, and he said, try doing it this way. And he talked him all the way through this joke. Words to emphasise, everything like that. And my son, I was in awe, but my son watched and took it on board. And if you just dismissed and went, no, why wouldn't you?
You see, people think they know it all. People think, oh, I know it. What's he talking about? He's never worked there, he's never worked there. But, you know, you don't, because nobody sits out in front and watches it. Yeah, so at one time, you know, your agent would go and sit and say, Charlie, what are you doing that for? So yeah, I thought it would work. No, it doesn't work. Go back to what you used to do. My wife was like that with me, because we used to work together when the kids went to school. She gave it up. She came to see me now, I'm working. She said, what are you doing that gag? I said, there's no way I can do it. She said, it's not right. So you try and tell him. She said, I'll tell him. She said, tell him. Oh, what? Ooh. I said, thank you.
Did you listen to her though?
Oh, I used to listen to her.
And was she right?
Oh, she was always right.
Still is.
Still is, always right. Yeah, she's a bugger for that. She's a bugger for getting things spot on.
Even if the audience wouldn't notice, it matters to you.
Oh yeah, because it's like the best thing I can say. That it's like we did the Pantomime a few years ago at Newcastle, and there was a percussionist there who just did little sound effects for songs. God, he's got a job for nothing. You can never tell what he's doing. But when he wasn't there, he didn't have no to do it, and he just put little bells in, little tings and things like that. All little bits, but it made such a difference. But I mean, unless you were listening for it, you wouldn't know. You know, probably the nights he was off, you really missed him. And it's all the little bits that I say people put in that make a difference if it's put in properly. It was just thrown in, you know. If so, it's just anything to, put that in now, doesn't matter, that doesn't matter. Or, you see, circuses were guilty of that, you know, clown, we need a clown, or can you do the clown? Well, I'll do the clown, yeah. Just do a couple of gags. Well, that's not being a clown, that's just always being a fool, a prat. Doing it for an extra 10 a week, or 20 quid a week, or whatever. See, now you get no clown troops now. I mean, like, probably my own fault in one way, but like I was always worked with my dad and had a partner, and things like that. There was a lot of clowns that work on their own. I couldn't work on my own. Couldn't do it. No, I couldn't do it. I could do bits on my own, but not an act. Because I'm used to working with partners and people putting on after me and things like that. Or the wife, she used to stand on stage and I go on after her. Different gigs. Oh, you're back again. Oh, yeah. Those type of gigs. So it works. Well, it worked for us anyway. That's 40 years it's worked for us. We've not been found out yet.
What were your favourite props to use then?
A clarinet. Is what my dad used to use, and he used to fall through the chair, swallow the mouthpiece. That and the goldfish bowl, which is why it disappeared in my trousers and I end up soaking wet. Well, the thing is, we when we go to joke shops or anything like that, we also, I used to buy stuff. I got a prop knife upstairs that I wanted to use something for. Just buy stuff. That was funny. I was trying to figure it out, you know what I mean? I mean, I bought loads of crap in my life. So loads of rubbish in my life.
Fine.
That's still in the drawer now, you know what I mean? I think, so anything that you can get a laugh at.
There's something about joke shops as well. It's just whoopee cushions and the whole being a child. It's wonderful.
It is. It's called childish humour. That's what Laurel and Hardy were.
Do you still feel a child?
Oh yeah. Everybody's saying don't be such a prat. Mine said you're still a kid.
Still a kid. Keeps you feeling young though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What makes you laugh now?
I don't think there's much stuff. Well, the last thing that I still really laugh at is Only Fools and Horses. But there's all this comedy, say it's comedy, but it's all false laughter. And I sit there thinking, how can anybody laugh at that?
Mm.
You know, it's a smile, but it's not a laugh. And I think, like I'm a great believer. I love all the Radio 4X and Round the Horn and the Navy Lark and all those, and Al Mead, Tommy Cooper, but that's, you know, you want to go back, Dave Allen, those type of guys, because to me they seem naturally funny.
Dave Allen, the last good-looking comic, I think.
Well, the best thing I can say about Dave Allen, or the best thing about Dave Allen, we do Pantomime at Wimbledon. We're up there and knock on the door. Yeah. Hello, he said, I'm Dave Allen. Just want to say I thoroughly enjoyed your show. Thank you very much. I went, huh? And he'd gone. I went, huh, huh, huh. And that's the only thing I can remember about Dave Allen. I mean, I love his work on TV, but he came to me. Dave Allen said, just want to say I thoroughly enjoyed your performance. Thank you very much.
How nice.
I thought that was lovely, and I was, and I just thought it was wonderful, you know.
Again, though, somebody who also did clever comedy, spoken comedy, and physical comedy.
Yeah.
The £10 sketch. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And another if you like, Abbott and Costello.
Oh, wonderful.
Who's on first? What's the second? I don't know. I mean, that was just so clever. Yes. I mean, my brother-in-law used to like the Three Stooges. I like the Three Stooges, but they got very violent, very aggressive, a bit too violent for me.
Mm.
I mean, I liked them as I grew up. I thought, maybe you get white. I don't know. You just grow up and you think.
You said Fools and Horses again. Lots of physical comedy in that. The falling through the bar routine is possibly the funniest moment in TV history ever.
It's like the chandelier. It's all clowning. It's all clowning without the makeup on. So, you know, it's... I mean, the only thing I really remember about Fools and Horses that really sticks in my mind is 15 years ago, I had bowel cancer. And I used to sit in this hospital, I used to watch Only Fools and Horses, and it used to make me cry with laughter. I loved it. And it just made me laugh. And when you feel down, because I think laughter is the best medicine. You know, it's the old gag, laughter is the best medicine. And it used to make me laugh. And I still laugh at it now. And it's, and I think, what I like, what somebody else doesn't like, it's like my father-in-law, Roy, he hated the Carry On films. No, I love the Carry On films because I think they're so full of innuendos. I think it's hysterical, you know what I mean? Which again, people do them these days, and they do it, it's not as subtle as they used to do it. It's more in your face now. But I mean, I used to get things in the act full of innuendos, not full of, a few innuendos. So the kids laughed at one thing, and then it's laughed at another. It's like when the wife used to make goldfish boulders of her trousers. I said the goldfish bowl, so what are you doing? Look at Free Willy, I used to pull a fish out. And they said, what was it? Free Willy 2? No, you're looking for Finding Nemo. This is the Free Willy gags. That's you were thinking that with the kids, Free Willy. Which, you could say, that was rude, which way you want to take it? I was talking about the fish, what were you? Which way are you taking it? You know what I mean?
It's all in the mind, isn't it?
It is.
You can't live in Blackpool.
I mean, Max Miller was great with that. And it's Max Miller. You ever listen to Max Miller? He goes, bardy 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 bar, bardy bardy bar, bardy 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 bar, and then the audience finished the last line off. He was filthy. He wasn't.
He really was.
He was the audience had just finished off the gag. He never said the lines.
I like the girls who do. I like the girls who don't.
I like the girls who say they will. Say they don't. The girls who also like the most ones. So Amos is, and he never used to finish it.
Yeah. And he'd always look off stage for the boss, wouldn't he? That authority figure again, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you want the blue book or the white book? The blue book, yeah. My dad worked with him at the Palladium when he was, I think it was just in the war. And he said, I didn't understand his comedy. He said, but you could tell he was a funny man. He's really sure what he said. You could tell he was a really funny man.
Did you keep diaries then of what routines you used to do and places where you did them as well?
No. No, I never did that. I suppose we should have done really, but he's just one of those things. He just remembered it. He just remembered gags and say, that gag could go well there. That gag could go there. And my dad was I think he saw so much that he could pull gags out for me.
Was it difficult then writing gags and coming up with new material?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is actually, because you want to try and keep it on top, keep it fresh, everything fresh. So trying to find new routines, it can, and also he used to try, like one year we did double yellow lines. They were just starting to put double yellow lines in Blackpool, so it was quite topical what we did. Yeah. I mean, it's like we used to use one of the tunes. It was also a tune that had been in the top 20, like bits and pieces from Day Clock Five or Congratulations or something like that. So you could use it the whole season. Now you couldn't do it now because what songs do you remember now?
Very few. Baby Shark, probably. Sorry, listeners, for mentioning that song, but.
I did Pantomime for walking. He said, "There's Baby Shark." I said, "What's this Baby Shark?" I've never heard it. It's down its bum, stormed on the end of it. Baby Shark, 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 and it just shows you how young you can be. I mean, I usually just my lads who say, lads would think, "Oh, Dad, you're not going to do that. It's going to be crap." I said, "No, it's not. It's going to be funny." Because you have to get the young kids in, you know.
Did you used to ask the kids then what was the in thing?
Oh yeah, you have to. It's only because as grown-ups, what do you know? What do we know about comedy? I say, what do we know? We know what's funny. But you just as the kids, it's like we did a pantomime for Dougie Chapman in Billingham, and what was that guy? He did that dance routine. Fun guy. He used to do his dance routine.
Oh, Psy.
So yeah.
The Gangnam Style.
Yeah, Gangnam Style.
Yeah.
And the girl said, she said, what's this Gangnam Style? She doesn't mean anything. She said, they love it. She said, they won't do doggies. And I'm saying, it'll do nothing, you know. Storm them. Kids love it. She's still like, all the others, she was, Gangnam.
Funny though, isn't it? A Korean pop star and embraced over here because of the internet.
Yeah. Well, you see, you can get so much off the internet these days.
How do you follow the clowning now overseas? Do you do that online or do you
Do it online,
travel?
but you do. There's not much really. See, they only have the American clowns on the. You get the American, like George Carl. He was a classic. He was classic. You know, he was so funny, that guy. He's a natural.
Oh, with the hat.
Yeah. George Carl. He was absolutely very funny, and I loved the guy. But I don't know. It just doesn't seem to be. Nothing seems to excite me. I mean, it's me turning an old fart. I know it is.
Not at all.
Nothing seems to excite me anymore.
That's a shame. Really is a shame.
It's just a shame because if I say excite me, I don't mind watching Fools and Horses and all the old stuff like that. I mean, I'll put Tommy Cooper on, and I love all that. You know, 'cause that still makes me laugh because he's so stupid, but it's so clever. Morecambe and Wise, the best of Morecambe and Wise is it? Best of Morecambe. That's funny. What else, you know? It's like the one thing I hate now. You get these sort of the best 50 comedians as voted by you know. And you get Tommy Cooper will be down at number 12 or something like that. And you get these new comedians. You go, what? No way can they, you know. Or I don't know. You just get these young comedians coming up, and everybody wants to tell gags. Nobody wants to do them. When Ken Dodd, he didn't mind making a fool of himself. So you laughed as soon as you came on.
With that big old red coat.
Yeah.
Or the drum.
Yeah. And you're already giggling before he's even done it. Like Tommy Cooper. I went to see Tommy Cooper years ago. And he's Tommy Cooper. And also, he saw the curtain flip. Can't find my way in. Hey. Where's the door? It wasn't him. He was still in the dressing room with the mic. It was a stagehand flicking the curtain. Well, and he did this for about 5-10 minutes. The next minute, when he came out, the place was in hysterics. And hadn't even been on stage. Hadn't been on. I thought, wonderful.
And he got the ultimate honour, didn't he? Dying on stage.
No, that to me is not an honour. I've died on stage enough times. I don't want to die anymore. I don't. You see, I won't thank you for that. No, because I had this conversation with my dad. Because when he had his third heart attack, the doctor said, look, Charlie, he said, you can either live 20 minutes or 20 years. So there's nothing, I mean, they do bypasses now. You know. He said, no. And they wanted him to just go in the ring and present kids' birthdays at the tower. I said, Dad, you don't want to be remembered like that, do you? You want to be remembered as what you were? And he says, well, you're right. Because as a little old man with his nose on, going to do the birthday, it's like, could be a shadow sort of. So he retired, and he died. Was it 1980? Yeah, February 2 days after his birthday, February the 17th, 1980. But that's how I like to remember. I would like to remember seeing him down on stage or collapsing now in a heart attack. Funny thing about that, he had his second heart attack when he was at the Tower, and took him to hospital. So I went in the ring. I worked with Norman. It was crap, and everybody seems to like it. So anyway, just as I was going on the ring, the phone door says there's a phone call in the office. So it's Mr. Cairoli. Yes, your dad's not very well. I don't think he's going to survive. I said, well, there is nothing I can do about that. I've got to go on now. So as soon as I'll be off in about 10 minutes, I'll phone you back. Well, we don't think he's going to like. I said, look, there's nothing I can do. So I went on and worked. Gave out a phone. I said, oh, he's fine now. Bastards, me dad. That was another thing. He came when he was getting better. He came to see me at the Circus, and he said, oh, he wasn't going to be there for the parade. So he was sat at the back, and then he just, as the parade finished, he came in, and I walked on from the act. I walked straight up, and I thought, he's there, you bugger. He said, I don't want to be there to make you worried.
Bless him. He'll be looking down on you.
What? You thought it was going to be so easy, didn't you?
Is there anything in hindsight you'd like to have done in your career?
I would have liked to learn to play piano better. Because I think about that stage now, I could do more comedy with the piano. I have to cut around like a stage like an idiot. But that's only me being. I think being the piano, you can travel. I mean, you don't have to take stuff with you. You borrow somebody else's piano. Yeah, but I would have liked to work the Palladium with my wife. That's two things I would have liked. But no, because I've had a great life. I've worked Hong Kong, worked South Africa. Done Germany, done a couple of TVs in Germany. Did Copenhagen for a month. Hong Kong I did for a month. That was great, with the Bluebell Girls. Well, when we got there, it's like about 26, 28 Bluebell Girls. I mean, leggy, beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. And Charlie. And there was two from Blackpool, one from Manchester, one from Birmingham. All knew my dad. So they thought we had a wonderful, they loved me dad. And did you someone want to go out with us? So I said, yeah, I don't mind. I used to go out with the Bluebell Girls. And we used to go to these clubs and we used to sit there. And I'd sit there. I was like the mafia boss. There'd be about 10, 12 girls with us. And the guys just, do you mind if I ask, could you ask so-and-so for a dance? And I said, would you want to dance with me? And she said, oh, yeah. I mean, I know nothing ever happened, but I felt like, they treated me really well. It was great now. And one of them lives in Blackpool now. Oh, lovely girls, but stunning.
What kind of year was that?
About 75, 76. Fabulous orchestra. Used to do 2 shows a night. One for the Chinese, one for the Europeans. And the Chinese people, when we did the first show, you do a gag and you get applause for it. There it's rude to clap. They only clap at the end of the act. So you go, ta-da, and nothing. Really on quickly, And the other thing was, we used to work, you could hear this sort of this sound like. can't understand what it was. And then we thought we'd have to maybe tap him with little hammers. What it was all these Chinese with these rice bowls going.
Such a physical comedian. Have you ever sustained many injuries?
Oh yeah. I've not broken anything. I've chopped nerves and things like that. And well, I've got. They've fallen through the chair. Now I've got a bad ankle, and a bad knee, and a bad hip, all on one side. The other leg's absolutely spot on.
Well, it was just the one that used to take the
all the whack on it.
whack, yeah.
I've lost a couple of teeth. What else? You just sort of nothing broken, I can say, because I learned how to fall, and that's the most important thing. Because before jumping, I went to do judo, and that taught me how to fall. I think that's the problem, because I could fall. I used to get a bucket of water, I used to fall, bang, get the wax on it, fall, bang, and doing falls like that, it takes punishment on you.
Mm. What would be your advice then to young clowns and comics now?
Don't do it. No. What would be? My advice now, I would say, to do as much as you can and find out what suits you. Because I was a crap juggler, but I could play instruments. Not brilliantly, but I could play instruments. I could play a variety of instruments. I could play enough on each instrument to get a tune out.
What ones could you play?
Trumpet, trombone, clarinet, saxophone, little concertina, and a bit of a guitar. But that was it basically. But when I was learning, I wasn't really, I used to go for lessons every Saturday morning when I worked in the factory. And I never really practiced. I never practiced enough. Can't believe it. I never practiced enough. I love hearing an instrument. I love hearing an instrument played well. And I think, oh, that'll do for me. Well, it's my own fault. Just never practiced enough. Laziness, which I think is a lot of people's fault. Like learning languages. What do I need to learn languages for? But yeah. I always wanted to learn the violin as well, but
I'm sure you could have had great gags with that as well.
well, there is. My grandfather used to play the violin, and my dad used to do gags with it. And I've got one of the old props out there, and it's. I couldn't sort of explain the gags to you, but it's. I mean, I still like it when I hear people laugh. I think it's actually hearing people laugh. I don't like to hear tapes of laughter. That's the biggest thing I think. I don't like on television. When you hear tapes, and you can see fools on horses or something. You see something's funny. You can see, yes, that is funny because I'm laughing at it. I can still laugh at it now. I'm walking wise. I can laugh at it because I can still laugh at it. True on it's still funny. I think it's still funny. But when you see something. Yeah, I talked to my lad. I said, "This is funny." He goes, "No." I said, "Well, why's he getting all showing?" But the short. People can tell a gag. I can't tell a gag. I can tell some gags, but I'm not brilliant at it. But I think you get like telling a gag, and you got to do a gag as well. I work with some great people. They could tell a gag, but can't work a gag. Don't know how to work a gag. Got the timing, but they can't work it as. I'm not saying anything. They'll just turn around and do something, and leave it at that. No, they got to put. Because if they keep talking, it's like they can't stand a pause or a look. You know, a look can look so much more better than to actually say silence. You know, that says it all.
The listeners are going to wonder what faces you're doing.
It's not television, is it? Oh, it's not
What about the faces? Did you just spend lots of time looking at yourself, practicing looks?
No,
No.
because I don't. Well, you see, it's like a lot of things. I mean, when I was a kid, I thought it was going to be James Bond. I thought it was good looking. I wasn't. I never was. I think you just. It's like your lad. He makes you laugh. Gives you full faces, things like that.
Yeah.
So it's there. You can't make something funny that's not funny. If he makes you laugh now, you can pull faces. I'll go, or something like that. Yeah. Roll the eyes. You know, it's like you look at Dad's Army.
Mm.
I mean, that's another classic. I love Dad's Army. I can watch that at the time because Captain Mannering and Pike. Funny enough, we were talking about this morning with my wife. We were saying that in the old days, a comedian would do 20 minutes. Top of the bill would do 20 minutes or half an hour, and he wouldn't get that much money because he had the whole supporting cast with him. Now everybody's getting so they get one comedian doing 18,000 people. And he spots on his own. Now, going to see you at some point, you're going to because it's very hard to keep somebody keep an audience laughing for 2 hours or an hour and then another hour after that. Because I know when we used to do the Pontins, it was a 20-minute spot. It's great, you know, a lot of acts could do 20 minutes. They went up to half an hour. They went to 40 minutes and then it started. Can do 50 minutes, can do an hour. Now, don't get me wrong, I think for me, I would say 40 minutes is enough for me. You know, I'll do 50 minutes, but it's really dragging stuff out. And I suppose if the audience is good, you could probably do an hour. If when you're working in these rooms where there's kids walking across the dance floor and Joe, where are you? Yeah, all that, people walk across the. Yeah, you're bloody funny, you are. You know. 45 minutes or 40 minutes for me.
Is that why you enjoyed being in Panto so much as well, though? Because you only had the short sort of 15, 20 minute sections.
Yeah, because in Pantomime, everybody's concentrating. There's nobody walking about.
Mm.
Everyone's looking at that stage. And they're all watching you. Whereas you're at these big places now. There's so much going on around you. You see, and I can't see the point of paying £100 or 80 quid to go see a comic when you're watching him on the screen because you can't see him on stage.
Mm.
I'd look at a DVD and sit at home and do that.
Yeah.
Just to say, I want to go and sit, you know. So yeah, but pantomime is great because if it's a good pantomime, you're with people you like and you enjoy working with. You can have laughs. And it's fun. It's fun for you. It's not boring for you. So I do like pantomime. I mean, I used to like Circus. Circus again, that was only like 10, 15 minutes at the most. And you're with other acts, so it's a variety bill.
We were talking off the recording earlier on, you were saying about Norman Wisdom as well. When you,
I loved him. Loved it. Funny man, and he used to do his own stunts and everything. But he was just naturally funny. And to do some of the stuff he did. The only thing I never liked about Norman was it sounds bitter. When he started singing, when he got the pathetic, I don't love it. But you see, again, Norman Wisdom, you look at Norman Wisdom, look at the people that fed him. Like Jerry Desmond.
Mm.
Good feeds. get a good feed, he was laughing. And Jerry Desmond was a tall, majestic-looking man. No one was as pathetic as, what are you doing, boy?
The Gump, wasn't it, that character? That was what it was called, the Gump.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right, yeah. And when you get a good feed, it makes all the difference. It's like when I work with a wife, she used to do a lot of variety with her parents on stage and things like that. And she started to help feed the comics. You know, need a pretty girl to go on and do that. Okay. So she knew when to look and where to look and when to keep quiet and when to put. She was great because if the audience were laughing, she'd let me go on and off. And then she'd pull me back. You know, she was, when you're comfortable like that, it's great, you know, because you're like more freer, you know what I mean?
Mm. And also you were just needing to be pulled back as well. That's it. It's in both senses of the word, literally being pulled back and bringing the comedy back as well. And
yeah. Have you finished with that woman? No, not finished yet. When we finished with you, can you come back up here? Why? Yeah. It was a bit banter. And I'm a bugger for talking. I used to talk all the bloody time on stage. Talking absolute garbage at times.
Well, you've not for this podcast. It's been, every minute has been brilliant.
One of the funniest stories about to talk quickly. We did the Reading Theatre with Keith Chegwin. Lovely guy, what a talented guy. Oh. It was Aladdin. And because there was a lot of people in the cast, I had a mic. I was a Chinese policeman, and I had a mic on, and this one scene I had to give it off and give it to somebody else. And it was when the palace had flown away. So I came on stage and I said, bloody hell, what the hell's happened to the palace? And I swore, you see. So, next minute, come right, said, please, ladies and gentlemen, please don't swear on stage because it can be heard. I said, it's not me because I don't have a mic. So I said, oh, you're all right, Charlie, you're exempt. Keith Jerry looks at me and said, you bastard.
You speak a lot about your dad.
Yeah.
What was life like with Mum?
Oh, Mum was lovely. Because she came from a famous Fassellini's. And she wasn't a particularly good artist. She was just my mum, you know. And they used to send her to spy on my dad. Because the Cairoli's and the Fassellini's were two rival acts in Paris at the time. They used to send my mum to go spy on, go see what the Cairoli's are doing at certain Regina or certain Rivera, one or two. And my dad used to spot this little girl. He says, oh, she fancies me.
And that was it.
And
they got together. And that was that.
Yeah. When she came to England, she used to get, she used to go shopping and she used to get pork chops. This is not pork chops, that's the only thing she could say. She could just speak in English. She goes, pork chops, please. Pork chops. Pork chops. Pork chops. I said, can you say anything else? She says, no, ask anything else, darling. She was all right with me.
And I take it they were both very supportive of you getting into the circus.
I think they were and they weren't. Dad had a great voice. He could be quite a good, powerful singer. Whether he was playing the instruments, I don't know. But he always wanted to be a singer. He'd love to be a singer, but he never got the chance. He was like, "You're going to be a clown. You're the son of a clown. That's what you're going to be, son. You're going to be a clown." And he didn't build his name. He got a good reputation, so it just took off from there. Mum wasn't bothered about the business. She enjoyed it to a point, but I think she enjoyed me being in it. And she enjoyed it when I worked with Dad. I think when Dad died, it was like a big hole left. But she was very good. She supported me, I suppose, when I was trying to get going. Christ. And then, but it's like my lads, people say, my eldest was Do you ever feel good to go into the business? I said, no, son. I said, you've got to do what you want to feel. Yeah, so, I mean, the youngest one, he plays the piano, he's great, he's a good artist and everything like that. But they both love to be in the business in a backstage point of view.
Hmm.
And the eldest one would have been in management, and the youngest one would have been backstage, helping the sound and lighting and doing that side of the things, or a lighting technician or sound technician. But to actually be on stage, nah.
Did you ever try and take them on stage?
No, never really got a chance to, actually. No. Because I thought if they were going to do it, I always said to them, if you want to do it as a hobby. It takes off. Get pack your job in and go into it. If it doesn't take off, it's not costing anything. Like the other one likes doing DJ, and the other one plays the keyboards. They only play for themselves. I said, if it takes off and do it as a hobby. Yeah, I mean, it's like he's in the job now. If he goes sick, he can get sick pay.
Hmm.
If I'm sick, he was like, oh, Christ.
Well, this leads me on to my last question. Your dream pantomime. So you can be in it, you can choose the production, the venue, and the cast can be alive or dead.
Right. The venue, I'd like it to be the Palladium. The cast. I think it was Cinderella.
Of course, it's yours.
The Everly Sisters, there was a guy we called Michael Sharville Martin. He used to do a lot with Dave Allen. He was absolutely brilliant dame. And Barry Howard was the ugly sisters, both ugly sisters. Cinderella would be Michaela Strachan. Because I worked with her in Goldilocks. She's a great little performer, fantastic. I always thought I was a Prince Charming. No, I'll change the pattern. I think I'll go Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Michael Sharma Martin. Bobby Devo. Who plays the comic in the Good Circus? Hank would be. I would be the clown. Hank would be the bad guy would be something like I can't think of it. It's buddies.
Must have worked with some great baddies over the years.
Gareth did with King Rat. He was brilliant. He was so funny. But he was so dry on stage. He was great. Fantastic guy. Gareth, yeah. Forget about him. Gareth would be the baddie. That would be it, actually. Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Charlie, so much for spending your time speaking to the Panto podcast.
It's been a pleasure you listening to me, because I'm surprised you've been listening to me all this long. I thought you'd been asleep half an hour.
Not at all.
Are you sure?
Thanks, man.
It's been lovely talking to you.
Thank
I
you.
hope we can make some gibberish out of what I was said here today. And if the court case comes on, I'm going to deny it all over. It was all me.